It is Christmas Eve in Seoul, and I've just decided that for the first time in my life, I will be going to church. No, but for real, many people have told me that the best way to meet people and make friends in Korea is by joining a church. And I don't know if I'll be joining one. I don't really know how the membership process looks like, but I'm not religious. And I've never, ever been to a church before. But I'm curious to see what it's about. So I asked around and ended up getting invited to a Christmas Eve service. The only requirement is to bring a wrapped gift. So I spent some time today hunting for a gift. Got a little baked goodie, wrapped it myself. I did a terrible job, but I'm really excited. So now we're going to church and hopefully making some friends. I don't know if this is a church appropriate outfit. Okay, so I'm here, I think. It's in this big building in the basement, I think. I don't know what to do. Do I just walk in? Do I keep my head covered? I think I just gotta walk in. Okay, let's do this. It is now 1:15 a.m. I'm coming home from church at clubbing hours time. It was so unexpected. Okay, let's talk because that was fascinating. So, that was my first time ever in my life going to church. And some other background would be I grew up as a Sikh. I went to a religious school, grew up in a really strict household with a strict family, at which the base of it was Sikhism. So I know a lot about Sikhism. I've been tested on its history and language and martial art, but I don't know anything about Christianity or Judaism, even though they're major world religions. I just happen to know a lot about Sikhism, and then as a consequence about Hinduism and Islam, but I don't even know the major biblical stories. I don't know about Adam and Eve, and there's so many more and I just don't know them. So going to church was quite intimidating. But if I were to try it on any day, I'm glad I did it on Christmas Eve because today they had a very special service. So this church is an English-speaking church in Korea, which I'm guessing is not common, and it attracts a lot of either foreigners that are living in Korea or Koreans that have worked or lived abroad at some point and for some reason feel a little bit more connected to the English-speaking style of church. So I have no idea what regular church is supposed to be like or Korean church is supposed to be like, but this church was really fun. So we walked in and all of a sudden everyone's greeting each other. It's all hugs all around and everyone was so nice. And then we all get seated and it's kind of like a lecture hall sort of vibe. Maybe even like tutorial room. Like there's all these seats and you're facing a TV or projector, but instead of the prof, there is a whole band. There's a person playing the piano, the violin, the drums. There's multiple vocalists and they all just harmonize and sing these songs that sound like could be pop songs, but are actually lyrically related to church and biblical stories. So I didn't really understand it. There were a lot of blood references, a lot of saving references, a lot of references to Jesus being the King of Kings. A lot of it I just didn't understand, but everyone was so into it. First you have like the people singing, and they bring so much energy, and then you have everyone in the audience. After they start singing, everyone else just goes, and then it goes up, and they're like, their hands are just in the air, eyes closed, moving side to side. Everyone's just together in this rhythm. I didn't know what to do with my hands, because this and singing the lyrics feels so uncomfortable. It feels almost like a betrayal. I don't know, but I just kind of like swayed with the music, thinking, you know, if I feel it, I'ma go. Maybe I'll put my hands in the air, but it was interesting. But I did enjoy seeing everyone else around me feel so moved by the music and the things that they were singing. And some point, while the music is still playing, these two guys come up on stage and they're talking, and then he screamed into the mic, and then the entire room screamed, Jesus! And then I look around and there's people sobbing around me, in front of me, like fully grown adults, men, women, just crying and screaming, and some with their hands in the air, some looking down, other people hugging them. I honestly didn't know what to make of it. It felt really beautiful that people can come together in a room and just hold each other and comfort each other. But at the same time, I think it's somewhat of like a somatic experience, if that makes sense. It reminds me of multiple things. One, the Othership. The Othership is a place where you can do classes or circuits where you go from sauna to ice bath and vice versa. I did a Friday class called Up, where it starts by sitting in the sauna for 40 minutes, and they're playing upbeat music, getting you to stand up and dance to the music, and then hop in the ice bath, and then come back and then chant a mantra while you're back in the sauna. So the one I remember was, I am alive. So first you're sitting and you're like, I'm alive. And then you get up again and you're like, I'm alive. And then at the very end, you scream it, and it feels so euphoric. And I think that's kind of why the Othership has this cult-like following. People love that sensation of release, of euphoria. There's definitely a physical element to this. Your body is going from hot to cold, and as you resist it, you're also being stimulated by music, by lights, by somebody telling you to scream, and all of a sudden you do, and it feels great. And this church experience reminded me of that a bit, because the screaming out for Jesus made so many people cry. The other thing it reminded me of was the Netflix show Beef, where Steven Yeun was at some point at a church where there were also a lot of Korean people, and then there was a band playing, and then he had this point where he cried. So that was legitimately the only reference point I have ever had, like maybe 10 minutes of this one show I watched a long time ago where they were singing in a church setting and people were emotional. I have no idea what churches are like. If anything, I would have thought it's kind of like a cathedral where you just sit down and you listen for a bit. So that part was fascinating. I think watching everybody around me go through that very emotional experience gave me chills. And then I even teared up a little, but it was nice. After that, they brought in Krispy Kreme donuts and Costco cookies. I didn't even know you can get Krispy Kreme in Korea, but this was just like a very it felt so comforting. Like you look around the room and you see diversity, you hear diversity, and you're eating Krispy Kreme. Just side note, but the foods I would never eat in America, like McDonald's, Chipotle, Krispy Kreme, they are the things that give me so much comfort here. Because right after church, I went to McDonald's and had a cheeseburger. It's probably my first time going to McDonald's in like 3 years. I don't know. But it hit so hard. The bread and meat that wasn't sweet. Oh my God, it was so good. After that little interlude of a sweet treat, we all got into groups and you did a gift exchange, and then there was dancing, there was charades, games, a lot of chatting and meeting people, and everyone was so kind. I genuinely loved my experience, and I'm really grateful that even though I don't celebrate Christmas and had absolutely no idea what church was about, that these people kind of welcomed me into their space. I will say though, one thing that makes me uncomfortable that I haven't fully realized why is the mention of the word God. I don't know. Like, it isn't weird when a lot of people would say praise God or use it in an expression, but there were a lot of stories shared where people use a phrase, God saved me, God spoke to me, God gave me a sign. And maybe it's a personification. It's the personification part of it that makes me uncomfortable. And I don't know why. And I don't think I've ever been exposed to people or communities that talk about God, especially in like natural conversation. So I think it just throws me off. I don't know what to make of it yet. It's kind of fascinating to meet people that have this perspective. And they were all so kind. I had a great time at church on Christmas Eve. I didn't think I'd ever say that, so who knew?